Hello and welcome to the first video in this series on tips for supporting you as your gifts awaken, as your empathic abilities and sensitivity opens up. This feels like an important topic to speak to, and I realized that one video just wasn't going to do it. There was going to be so much that we could explore and go into and share in this video series. So it's a series. If you haven't listened to any of my videos yet, I'm Katherine, and yeah, I have my own journey as an intuitive empath and sensitive person. And this year I decided that I wanted to share some of the joys and the challenges and, speak to some of the things that I've learned and I'm still learning. I find it helpful and transformational, resourceful, many things to share the journey. I write, I make videos, I like to share it somehow as we go through challenges. And for me, when I can share some of the learnings and experiences, it makes the experience more resourceful and the challenges more rich and really useful, and helps to transform that struggles and even pain of some of those experiences into something really resourceful for myself and others. So I really love sharing what I learn and experience on the journey. So thank you for being here, for listening, and yeah, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any comments, you want to share something about your journey in the comments, anything that you'd like to make me to make videos on, please put it in the comments and I'll respond to that. So in this video, the first in the series, I thought I would just speak generally about the journey as our gifts and abilities and sensitivity awaken, and share a little of my journey, and also just cover some of the things that I found helpful to support that journey. Because as our gifts awaken and our abilities, empathic abilities, our sensitivity open up, that experience can be lots of different things, and it will be at different times. But when we have tools to help us manage, when we have I'm a real toolkit girl, that I like to have tools in my toolkit that I can, metaphorically speaking, that I can pull out and use to help me with whatever challenges I'm dealing with. I find that feels resourceful and empowering to have a toolbox with tools. So hopefully some of the things I talk about can be added to your toolbox, or even begin your toolbox to assist and support you. So what I'm seeing is that for many reasons, people's gifts are really opening up, and with that, their empathic abilities and sensitivity. I think there's so many reasons this is happening for people right now on the planet. I think it's part of the evolutionary journey for us, for humanity and for the planet, for this to happen. And also for people with strong intuitive gifts and empathic abilities. I find that these are often really closely tied in with our purpose. So at some point it is likely that these will open up, find ways to open up, even though for many of us at some point during our life we shut these down to some degree, just to survive, to manage being in a world that for many may at times not really support being sensitive and intuitive empaths, because it's not how most people function in our community. It's not so commonly understood or even valued, appreciated, all those things. So growing up, for many people, it can seem easier. It may not even be a conscious choice. It may be an unconscious choice to shut down to some degree, just to try and feel like other people as we perceive other people. Some of them may also have shut down their gifts and intuitive empathic abilities, or not. And just to seemingly make it easier to function in, at school, in the family, at work, with friends, just be normal. So the thing about that is, though, that when we shut down our gifts and our empathic abilities, our sensitivity, we shut down from some of, yes, we shut down from some of the challenges to some degree of, receiving so much information and impressions in different ways, sensory information, however we receive that. But we also, to some degree, may shut down our connections with our spiritual team, shut down to that support that's all around us, shut down our awareness of that support and drawing on that support. So as your gifts begin to awaken, your sensitivity, your empathic abilities, you can choose to become more aware of your spiritual team and to ask for help, to receive help and guidance and support in so many different ways. So that is one of the benefits of opening up, awakening your gifts, empathic abilities and sensitivity. That there's huge support, and that your gifts are actually an amazing support to you navigating life here on Earth, because that extrasensory information is so valuable and so unique to you to help you on your journey. So the gifts, the reawakening can happen for people in different ways, and it can be gradual, it can be ongoing, it can be sudden. For me, I started meditating when I was 16, was really drawn to the spiritual path, and experienced Kundalini awakening around 17. And my extrasensory awareness started to open up, especially in the higher centers, in the third eye, the crown, the throat chakra, through practicing meditation and a lot of chanting. It was because I was young, because I didn't really have a solid foundation in myself of understanding of practices to support me. It was challenging at times. At times I felt quite ungrounded, and it was a bit of a fast track learning, and actually took years to really integrate and ground those experiences. And so as they began to feel balanced and really good, it did feel good initially to open up, to become aware, to reawaken that awareness that there was so much more to life than what I'd grown up with, the go to work, eat, sleep mentality, and to begin to open up more consciously to the spiritual realms and be aware of that was amazing. And at the same time, my sensitivity to a lot of things opened up. And when we don't have a strong practice and container to support us, we can experience feeling grounded, overwhelmed. We can open up to things that we don't want to open up to and not know how to manage that. We may, open up to all different sorts of energies and entities that don't feel good. And that's part of the experience potentially and the learning. But hopefully I can share some things with you that can help and support you on your journey, a few tools over the video series. So I'm seeing a lot of people's gifts really opening up, and seeing some of the challenges with that as I experienced. And so some of in this video, it's more sort of a light introductory video, and then I'll go deeper into other videos, just speaking about some of the things that an overview of some of the things that I found helpful. Grounding is really important. So grounding can look like imagining sending roots down into the earth. We will do a guided process with this, but I'm just speaking at the moment of grounding, sending a grounding cord down into the earth another way. And imagining wrapping that around a crystal at the core of the earth, or different ways people do that. Practicing mindfulness, I've been finding really helpful. Practicing mindfulness meditation, mindful breathing can help to really ground in the physical body and to be able to be present to the increase in sensations that happen as you awaken your gifts and sensitivity, and just have that, develop that strong center and awareness, so you can just observe and be with what's there, and really assist to manage that. Spending time in nature is a wonderful help to sensitive people, to intuitive empaths. For me, since I was a young child, I just love being in nature. I feel most at home in nature, surrounded by nature. Nature is a great harmonizer and balancer. And also for me, being in nature is a place that I can open up and enjoy my gifts in wonderful ways as I connect with the trees, the wind, the water, just something for another video series. But yeah, just being in nature is a great balancer and harmonizer for sensitive people. It's grounding. It assists your nervous system to come back into balance, as does the mindfulness. So this is really key as a sensitive person, and especially as your gifts and your sensitivity awakens. You need downtime. You need time when you just rest and come back into balance. The nervous system comes back into homeostasis. Otherwise, with that increase in receiving information and sensory impressions, stress can really go up. And it can then become difficult to sleep, to relax, things like that. So really important to look after yourself through this journey by taking time in whatever ways for you. For some people it might be listening to music, for another might be journaling or dance. Some time for you to, just be, to let things settle and move through you, ground. Having a spiritual practice is really key. The spiritual practice helps to create a strong container for your energy and to ground, hold, protect you as a sensitive person, as an intuitive empath. So I don't think there's one particular type of spiritual practice that's better than another. There's many forms of spiritual practice, but something to think about if you don't have a spiritual practice, something to think about, what works best for you. It might be yoga, it might be meditation, it might be qigong, it might be mantra practice, mindfulness, obviously a form of meditation, different practices that can be part of your spiritual practice. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this introductory video. As far as the overview of the tips and suggestions, I was just going to speak a little bit about my journey briefly, and I'll continue to through the videos because I think that brings a context. So it's not just abstract ideas and suggestions. It's actually in the context of my personal experience. So for me, as I mentioned, my gifts began to open up at 16, 17 years old, and that was quite a journey for many years. And I think it wasn't until, my gifts continued to open up, but at times I could feel quite overwhelmed. I experienced many things, but I didn't know where information was coming from. I experienced other people's energies and emotions, and sometimes I found it hard to separate what were my emotions and my energy versus other people's. So could be messy, could be overload for a lot of years, to be honest. So one of the ways that I managed that was just to try to shut down to some degree, to close off a bit, so it wasn't overwhelming. That didn't work really well either. I mean, I really didn't have. I had some tools, but I didn't really have, as I say, an effective toolbox to really assist and support me as a sensitive person for a lot of years. I managed, as many of us do, in the best ways that I could find. I learned, found things that worked. Being in nature's always worked for me. Having time to myself, letting things settle, meditation, different things I found have worked for me. And I think when the real shift came for me and things started to become much more positive and just have more of a structure and make sense, be more really amazing and wonderful, was when I began learning the Akashic records. Actually, just as I was saying that, there was an earlier time too when I began using a pendulum. I learned to use a pendulum to clear my energy, and it was amazing. For the first time in my life, I could well, in my life for a long time. Probably as a child, I may have felt just, clear and in my own energy. But as an adult, it's been a long time since I've really just felt clear and could feel clear when I chose to, and differentiate between my energy and other people's energy really clearly, other people's emotions and my emotions, and just have that clear space using a pendulum. So I learned to use a pendulum to, that's one of my pendulums that I use to clear my energy of entities, of negative energies and things. And wow, such a difference. So that was the first shift for me. And with that awareness, I could then discern more easily. It's like, oh, right, that's not my energy. That's somebody else's energy. That's not my emotion. That's somebody else's. I find that really important as an empath, intuitive empath, to be able to have that tools to be clear, so I can develop that awareness of what's my energy, what's somebody else's, what's mine, what's not mine. Yeah? Have that clear definition of self, with my energy and my space. So that works for me. I then learned the Akashic Records. I learned to work with the Akashic Records, another big shift for me. So learning the Akashic Records gave me a method, a system to open up. It actually opened my gifts up way more. It opened my sensitivity up way more. But it also could open up and close down to some degree. I had methods to do that. I now learn to know to ask, to use the pendulum, and also asking questions to know who I was communicating with, who I was receiving information from, where I had another level of being able to discern what was going on for me, what I was experiencing, what I was receiving, where that was coming from, and to be able to choose to allow or not allow different guides or team members to or other dimensional beings or entities to be in my space or not. So that's been the journey of opening up, having the tools to tap more into the positive aspects of support, communicating with my spiritual team, the guides, the angels, the masters, different team members, and really feeling surrounded by that support and help. And also energetically, as I've worked in the Akashic Records, I found those high energies really nourishing to my system as well. So I began to, not just with the Akashic Records, I had experiences before that, but with the Akashic Records, experiencing more as I began to realize that actually opening up, being open, receiving that support and the energies from the Akasha was, I began to experience really the beauty and wonder and amazing energies and experience that I could experience through my extrasensory senses, through my gifts, through working with the Akasha. That began to open me up more to nature in different ways, to the world in different ways. So my gifts had this sense of, more of a sense of wonder and magic. I could experience life in multisensory ways that are really amazing. So I want to share more of that with you. I want to share gifts to help you manage your sensitivity and intuitive empathic abilities, so as you can, enjoy your gifts, realize the benefit of your gifts. And also, I'm very passionate about helping people to awaken their gifts and, you know, fulfill their purpose and mission here on earth. And for many of us, we do need our gifts awakened and opened and be managing those well to fulfill those roles and to fulfill our purpose as healers, as teachers, as intuitives, whatever we do. So that's about it for this video, and I look forward to going deeper into some of the tips and suggestions, sharing a bit more about my experiences and journey in the future videos. In the next video of the series, I look forward to sharing with you. Please do give me feedback and comments and ask any questions in the comments. Thank you so much.